Now, one thing that Lucasfilm is going through right now are a lot of issues surrounding the Acolyte and the Skeleton Crew TV show, but on the other end of the spectrum, things remain very strong on Jon and Dave's front with the mandoverse, such as The Mandalorian, the Ahsoka Tano series, new Star Wars shows on the horizon that have yet to have been announced, that will be, by the way, at Celebration and D23 later this year. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, the one big thing about where Disney is heading right now by Jon and Dave is that, yes, they have George Lucas by their side, really kind of guiding them on what to do. We also know that George is going to be heavily involved in various ways on new upcoming projects, be it TV shows and films, and really, getting that lead on the story group by 2024. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But what's happening right now has a lot to do with Gina Carano as Cara Dune. Now, we know that this is something that a lot of fans are very divided over. Obviously, some fans do not like her, some fans approve of her, so it really created a very big split in the fandom when Kathleen Kennedy fired her the way that she did, and in such a terrible way through social media. So that brings us to what Jon and Dave are currently doing as a preliminary step to literally save Gina Carano's iteration of the character of Cara Dune, and what this really means for the future of the character and more on Disney+. Now, with that being put out there, we know one thing about Jon, George, and Dave is that they really are all about consistency. They are actually against any kind of recast for Cara Dune, and they would never want to do that in a million years, which is exactly why they have a full-fledged plan to bring her in for Mando Season 4. However, given that George Lucas has been working closely with Jon and Dave lately for the future of the franchise, it's noted that both Jon and Dave have a big plan on how they are set to bring back actress Gina Carano on a preliminary scale for fans. Now, it's described that both Jon and Dave are currently developing a special edition of The Mandalorian Season 2 that is set to have a cutscene entirely involving Luke Skywalker's approach to his X-Wing. The scene is in very specific detail and is set to include Gina Carano as Cara Dune that was meant to have a conversation with Luke about his sister Leia. The scene was originally meant to be inserted in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, but at the time, Kathleen Kennedy called the shots to have the scene deleted altogether. Cara Dune is said to give something special to Luke that belonged to a Jedi that was handed down to her from Leia. Both Luke and Cara shared a couple of lines of dialogue in this moment talking about the Force and the New Republic, and leaves off with a "May the Force be with you" line exit as he steps into his X-Wing and leaves with R2 and Grogu. Now, before I get to the next big segment, I do want to actually make it clear that there were multiple scenes that were filmed that actually involved Gina Carano's version of Cara Dune that were all deleted by Kathleen Kennedy. Be aware that even when Mando Season 2 was coming out back at the very end of 2020, when Luke made his entrance, Kathleen Kennedy still had some kind of control over the Mandalorian series at that point. It wasn't until the very beginning of 2021 where everything really settled in, where all of Bob Chapek's plans to exclude Kennedy from a lot of projects really took place. It wasn't until January or February of 2021 where that really all started happening. Now, the thing about this is that they are building toward a special edition of Mando Season 2. It's going to involve different scenes that were deleted to be inserted into the canon. It's going to lengthen each episode of The Mandalorian Season 2 by just a little bit here and there. But one great thing about this is that it's going to involve a full-fledged deleted scene of Luke Skywalker, and not just that, it's going to have Luke communicating with Cara Dune about his sister Leia. And what I like about this is that it kind of just makes you realize that they were going to acknowledge Leia's presence in the mandoverse, which, by the way, we haven't really heard all that much about Leia at all. in the mandoverse, you know, given that she's so significant of a character, you know, leading the New Republic, leading the rebellion and stuff like, you know, in the beginning of the Resistance, mind you, doing all these different things and being so involved with politics. It is a very interesting aspect that has remained untouched. And if you guys have read some of the novels out there, like Bloodline, which, by the way, is later in her life, I understand that. It does touch into all of this. But anyways, moving on, alright? Apart from this, what John and Dave are trying to succeed here is that this is going to be all a thing by next year, in 2024, that's going to serve as a preliminary step to bringing back Cara Dune, alright? Played by Gina Carano. There's a lot of scenes that were deleted. So on to the next thing. Now, Cara was meant to be the link between Luke and Leia's distance for, of course, a while in the scene, and that John and Dave are preparing to release a handful of deleted scenes involving Gina, including this one for a special edition of Mando Season 2, that they are aiming to drop sometime in next year. The final chapter of Season 2 is set to be extended by a whole 8 minutes, and of course, in total of the entire season, gaining 30 extra minutes of deleted scenes, 5 of which, of course, will include Gina Carano's Cara Dune in various scenes, fighting alongside characters like Bo-Katan and others that were deleted as well. Now, this will also include deleted footage of Ahsoka fighting the Magistrate. Keep in mind that there were deleted scenes of Ahsoka as well, that were excluded by Kathleen Kennedy, that never saw the light of day, that John and Dave are now bringing back to life. So, this is one thing that I think a lot of fans need to be aware of, is that not only do John and Dave heavily care about deleted footage becoming more apparent and clear for fans and putting it out there, but what they are about to do is that they're going to canonize this deleted footage, which I think makes it even all the more special. So, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a drag that we have to wait until next year to even see deleted scenes for Mando Season 2, which has been out for years now. But, at the same exact time, this is basically a great step for them to bring back Cara Dune on a preliminary level before they are able to access the whole Season 4 plans, which, by the way, are still in the works. It's looking good so far. It's all a matter of whether or not Gina herself wants to come on board, and exactly what some of the Disney higher-ups, the board members, if you will, are trying to find a way to market that return. So, that's the overall game plan right now. So I think that at the end of the day here, the fact that Luke had an entire scene with Cara Dune is absolutely special. It may have not been a long scene, mind you, let's be very clear here. It was a very brief moment, if anything more brief than the scene that we got of Luke in the final cut. So it is a snippet, it is a sequence more so, but it is something very special because Cara serves as, like I said before, a link between Luke and Leia being separated, as Leia's getting into politics and Luke is getting into discovering hidden Jedi lore across the galaxy with the help of Lor San Tekka. If you guys have read up on the lore, that's what he's doing throughout his adult, or young adult life, I should say. So overall, fill me in, guys, below in the comments what you have to say about all of this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.